Okay, everybody, we are live. Hello. I have Kristen Louise joining us today. Miss Nancy had some things that came up, so she had to bow out gracefully and said that to give everybody her best and to we'll see her next week. So, Kristen, yay! This young lady's been very busy building a channel, raising foster kittens, being a fur mama, getting poems published. So I was so excited that she would agree to join with Nancy and I, and we will be talking. Well, Nancy and I will with me still, and kind of talking about how we create or what we do to create a more intimate connection with our patron deity or deities. And Kristen, for me, is a great individual to have on for that because of how deeply connected she is to ritual, her ancestors, and her pantheon that she works with. While me, I'm getting my feet wet again and starting to connect with a couple of goddesses, which I'll be happy to share. But we will gonna let that all have that hand out all over to Kristen. Maybe I shouldn't have that cup of coffee that I poured. But I want to say hi to some people, those especially who didn't realize I had changed channels. So we have Isadora. It is such a pleasure to see you again, my dear, in chat. Welcome, welcome. And we have Jane the Seeker, and she's making dinner. Oh, that sounds good. I wonder what you are having. And we have Janet Lee joining us. And there's Julie. And if anybody wants to get to know more about Julie, Julie was a guest recently on Bobby's channel, Wild Raven Tarot, did a behind the card. So if you want to learn more about this lady, this young lady right here, go watch that. And we have Irene, Iron Fire Horse. Hello, hello, my dear. Let's see, everybody's saying hello. So I am just going to open it up. And I mentioned something about a poem.
Yes. Yes, I got a poem published in, it's called Blue Collar Review. And let me pull it up. I didn't think to pull it up, but let me see if I can quickly find it.
No, is this your first official published poem?
No, third.
Okay, third. Okay.
Yeah.
Still, that's awesome.
But they've all been with Blue Collar Review. So all three of them, and that's just because of the they focus on the experiences of blue collar workers. And one of the topics that I seem to gravitate towards, I kind of, what my creative writing professor said, I wayfare a lot, and that I write about experiences that aren't my own. And so he calls that wayfaring.
It's called wayfaring. Okay.
Yeah. At least that, I don't know if that's his term or what, but let's see if I can find it.
And I welcome, Kristen says that the poem has nothing to do with divine feminine spirituality, but I told her if she still felt, drawn to want to share it and celebrate, she can do that too. So that's all open, if you want to or not.
Okay. Yep, I found it. Okay, if people want to hear it, I can read it. It's called Midwifery. And I am originally from Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh historically is known as a steel mill town. So a lot of families have a history of steel workers in their families, and so do I. And it was originally written about my I'm trying to think how I'm related to him. He's like a cousin, like a few generations back. His name was Yankee, and he actually fell into the molten steel. Yeah. So that's how he died. It's an awful story. But let me just read it. It's not very long. So it's called Midwifery. So, Before vast brick wombs, our sons are midwives, delivering silvery steel from Braddock mills with waste gas of iron molten, furnace tapping and teeming and flames scorching, skin as impurities burn off the rising slag. For 16 hours they labor bent before the rupture, faces slick as they shoulder coal, and bear down the ladles of swell and crown. She is a mighty mother, delivering hard bodies, hard wills, swallowing sons like an offering. The remaining men chew through her. She contracts like a metallic, fettered umbilical cord.
God,
The end.
that is just the analogies and the metaphors. Oh, good Lord, I love that.
Thank you. Thank
when
you.
I get that poetry thing back up and running, definitely have to join Karen and I. And talking about we had in Buffalo too. Buffalo was known as a steel town. Bethlehem Steel ran for many,
Okay.
many years. And when they closed down, a lot of people, lost their jobs, lost, a lot. And at one point they even caught fire. So that whole area in there is known as the Steel Belt. So, but yeah, I totally. And Janet was like, "Wow, I know that's."
Thank you.
You read through it a couple times, and it's just amazing how the steel coming out is like, being birthed, like a child being birthed, and I mean all that is just wow. Yeah, Irene says hard imagery. It's hard. It's It's if heavy metal had poetry.
Yeah.
that would be like a Pantera or something.
Yes.
But yeah, that's incredible. So thank you for sharing that. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
For having that publication. So as always in chat, we're going to be discussing how we bond or connect with our patron deity or deities. And if anybody wants to share in chat, I will be sure to share with Kristen and everybody else. And hi, Shay. This is Shay Magic with Moonlight. Hi. So good to see you, my dear. And like I said, Kristen, is everybody knows from Kristen having been, did we lose? Oh, there she is. She's back. Has been on my channel multiple times talking about her Norse and then her work with Lilith and kind of get back and forth. So you have quite the extensive history of working with deity. So Heather's going to be quiet and I'm going to open up the floor and let you share.
Now, can you hear me now? Because it just went out a second ago.
I can hear you. You freeze your ears. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's going to be back.
Yes. So my earbuds, for some reason, there's something on my computer that's making it go deaf, like blank. So if I have to ask to repeat, my apologies.
And you are a little blurry, but you come in and out, so you should be fine. And Janet Lee said really quick, I saw Pantera at Oddfest in 2001. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Pantera. I saw them in like 94, I think. Yeah, a long time ago. I was 16.
You only get Heather talking on music right now. All righty, Kristen. Share whatever you would love to share.
Well, I would love to say that I've had a consistent practice recently, but because of the foster kittens, they actually have completely taken over my study, and that's where my altars were. And since I didn't want them pulling down the statues and accoutrement, I had everything pulled down. So right now, I actually don't have any altars, set altar work, unfortunately. I'm hoping soon that I'll be able to set them back up. So my original connection, really like deep connection that I had was through Norse paganism. Mm-hmm. So the goddess that I became connected with the most was Freya. And recently it was Lilith has appeared after years, over a decade of just consistently only Norse deities. The goddess Lilith came into my life. And so my husband not too long ago bought me a Lilith statue. And so I just recently, not too long ago, set up an official altar to her for herself. Like I have only so much space I have. So I eventually was able to create an altar just for Lilith. So I'm happy about that. So yeah, I guess like I brought up this topic because I think a lot of people talk around the practicalities, the day-to-day, okay, this is what you do. Like they say, this goddess has spoken to me, this goddess has reached out to me. I have experienced this goddess. But I think people who actually don't have those experiences are really they're like, but what does that mean? How do you make it happen? So, can you hear me?
You froze for a second. You're
okay.
back.
I'm back. My apologies. Where did I leave off?
The only thing that I missed was people who don't have a regular practice, and then you went to say something, and then
yeah, I think they're confused by the language, but like it feels very amorphous, very vague and ethereal to them. And so I think it would be nice just to talk about like what we practically, physically do, in order to create those connections. So yeah, I mean, that's why I brought it up. I think the first and foremost thing that I do is create an altar space. Like even if I don't have an actual statue, before I had a statue of Lilith, I just printed a photo of her and put her up on a mirror. That's all I was able to do for a while. So that was the beginning. But I think for some people, it can take years to connect with a deity. It could be years of work. Like for some people, the deity reaches out to them.
Yes.
Like they see signs. They'll see like synchronicities. But like symbols of a specific deity will start repeatedly appearing in your life. And that, I would say, is when a deity reaches out to you. But sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes you have to reach out to that deity. And that can take some work and it can take some time. So like for some people, it can literally take years. Like, I don't know if you know Kellyanne Maddox. She works with the goddess Hel. She has a channel. She's a tarot reader and a witch. And she works with Hel, the Norse goddess Hel. And she said it took 2 years before she was able to establish a connection with Hel, with consistent trying to connect with her. So, yeah.
So your connection with the Norse gods, was that something that they reached out to you, or you felt like because that was your heritage, you felt drawn to reach out to them and then they welcomed you? How was that connection created, if I can ask?
I think the latter. I think like I didn't see any signs that like specific deities were reaching out to me. Like I spoke to some Norse pagans and they were like, I reached out to Thor. I called out to Thor and suddenly like this giant thunder in the sky, lit up the sky. What's that?
That's the kind of experiences I would love to have.
Yes.
Wish for, right? But
yes,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So those are like, I've spoken to a number of Norse pagans who have experiences like that. But I did not. It took some work. It took a lot of reading. It took a lot of meditation. It took, in Norse paganism, there's the main ritual is called a blot, B-L-O-T. And so me and the kindred that I had at the time would have, every few months we would hold a blot. And that was in honor of a specific deity. And it was in those spaces that I felt most connected to, and specifically Freya. So, So yeah, it took doing ritual and stepping into sacred space for me to really create that connection. So yeah, I don't think I actually have ever had like a, one of those thunder moments, it's just been subtle pulls. Like I'm jealous of people who have those experiences with either deities or ancestors or, the dead and whatnot. Like my husband, for instance, he's obsessed with Van Gogh. Vincent Van Gogh, he is utterly obsessed with him. We even did a Van Gogh pilgrimage.
I know, I was so jealous.
Yeah. So we started in Amsterdam and went down into France, spent some time in Paris, and went to Auvers-sur-Oise, which is where he and his brother are buried, and whatnot, yada, yada. But there was one time we were talking about him with my sister in the middle of Pittsburgh. It was like down in the city. And then we go to the car, and there is a huge pile of sunflowers sitting by our car. Like in sunflowers, he's known
Famous
for his paintings, of sunflowers. He actually shot himself in a field of sunflowers. So that was powerful. Like I felt that for my husband. So
I wonder if he knew him in a past life. If maybe he was somebody in his circle that knew him, and
that's possible. Yeah.
Maybe one of his many lady friends. Because
yes.
reincarnate, into different, genders, and if you believe in reincarnation, but
yeah.
Wow,
or maybe his brother, or maybe him, could have been him.
Interesting. So because I know at one point your practice was difficult, your connection, and I remember, and correct me, if I'm wrong, is when mom passed. And I know that you said that you were kind of taking a step back and just trying to feel where everything was in that moment of grieving with your practice. And I think you said it was Lilith that came in to help. I didn't know how personal you want to share, but when Lilith came in, I'm just curious if she's still part of your practice, because I know you said the Norse gods that started to recommunicate with you and you're getting back into connection with them. Do they both hold a sacred space for each other to be able to continue to help you?
I think so. Yeah. Like I'm actually getting deeper in connection with Lilith. Things have sort of evened out with my relationship with the Norse deities. And I've been really shifting focus, really. I probably should spend more time, connecting, to all of them, but I have ADHD. So I am hyper-focusing. Yes, kittens and ADHD. And so I'm hyper-focusing on Lilith at the moment. So it was not long after my mother died that Lilith appeared. And I don't know if it's in connection with, grieving the loss of my mother. I don't know. But it helped regardless. So
that's probably why she did reach out. Because she's such a dark goddess that I think that was a possibility for her to hold that space. I mean, I know she's known mostly for her, her being, sexual, but that's one of the things with me. One of my little pet peeves is that a lot of decks or a lot of people always seem to like to focus on the sexual aspects, like the body, the sex, but a lot of these goddesses, these archetypes have so many other layers of nurturer, of creativity, of protection, personal power. And I know she's one of personal power. So
and she's the mother.
She's the mother, yeah.
She had many children who, in one of the myths, she was expelled from the Garden of Eden. And yes, it was it's a complete kitten takeover. They've completely controlled my life. But what was I saying?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
We were talking about Lilith.
Yeah. Oh, mother.
and
Yeah,
mother husband.
so the one of the myths is that one of the um, agreements that she had to make was to allow some of her children to. She has to, she like is every day.
Uh-oh, we're losing you.
You can't hear me.
I lost you on the screen, and everything you just said was all jarbled.
Oh no. Can you hear me now?
Just your picture's back. I could hear you a little bit, but you're metallic.
Okay.
See, things keeps happening when I mention Lilith. Little energy coming in. That happened before during a Divine Feminine live. I said something, and boom, the power got knocked out, and then came right back on. It took me a few minutes to get back in, but I left Nancy behind. I'm like, no, I'm back, and it didn't happen until I mentioned Lilith's name. So, um, did you want to go out and come back? Oh, yeah, she'll have to come back. Yes, Lilith was a mother, and of course, the mythologies that were written about her. Her birthing the demons and things. I mean, it's you kind of got to watch too who wrote that, and take a lot of those mythologies, with a grain of salt. But yes, she was a mother. She, believed in her power, her self empowerment, her self worth, and had to, um, stood on her own and walked away. I mean, and I know that Lilith is also considered a goddess that some women that come from um, abusive relationships also turn to, because they find strength in her ability to up and to walk away, and even knowing that her name was going to be demonized. um, so yeah, Lilith is very powerful. And while we're waiting for Kristen to come back, it's interesting. It was before I left. Oh, there she is. She's back. She's
Okay,
back. There we
I
go.
connected to my phone as a hotspot, so hopefully that works.
So
Yes.
we didn't hear anything of what you said last. So did you want to?
Her's a mother. Yes.
Mother.
Yes.
Yes.
She one of the myths, the Jewish myths, is that she was expelled from the Garden of Eden, and one of her punishments was that she would give birth to many children every single day, and then those children would be killed. And so she is constantly mourning the loss of her children. So yeah. So yeah, she is a mother figure as well.
When you were gone, I was telling people that she is also a goddess that a lot of women who are in domestic violence situations or abusive relationships look to, because they see in her the inspiration of how she stood up for herself and found the power to to walk away, knowing that I deserve better than this. I am not going to be not an equal. And so those myths were written about her to demonize her children, and to remind people that sometimes when we hear some of those myths, to remember where they came from, take them with a grain of salt.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
But that she is sometimes a patron, or an inspiration of women, who needs the empowerment, and and the grieving apparently for children. So yeah, it's just her energy. I heard is not always the most easiest to sit with. She's kind of like up there with like Kali, and with Santa Morte, with Cola Q, even maybe a little bit of the Morgan, who I'm starting to work with again. So but yeah, those goddesses that kind of help us through those dark nights of the soul, so to speak. And I wanted to share, I think I told you this, and I was going to share with everybody, and this only happened once. What was it, last year? I had a dream where those old fashioned typewriters. People remember where you have to and you have to the ink tape and everything. So I remember that there's this typewriter was typing this name out over and over and over again, and it got pulled out, and it was a white sheet from top to bottom, all typed with Lilith's name.
Wow.
But after that, there was nothing.
Wow.
And I knew that I kind of took a step back, because I was like, I don't know, she's kind of heavy. She kind of goes between, this is where, again, personal people, this is personal. My preference, not saying to anybody who's devoted to her or any type of goddess, but that works more on the darker side, the darker energies.
Oh no, she
I
does. Yes.
I try to maintain a middle where I
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge the shadow and I also acknowledge the light. For me, that's where I need to be, where I guess they
Mm-hmm.
call it the darker energies, are
Mm-hmm.
like considered what the left hand, I think I've heard them
The
called.
left-hand path. Yes.
So for me
Mm-hmm.
growing up, I was more of the right hand because I was raised Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But even though there's a lot of darkness in that, that's Lilith and the mythologies. But for me, Mary was that protector, that softness, that compassion, that carried forward. And I've learned more about really who she truly was. And again, the mythology's written about all these goddesses. And one of the ideas that I had mentioned to Kristen last night, this could be maybe for a future episode, is how in certain texts or on websites, I have seen some people referred to as possibly reincarnation. Some of these goddesses that actually walk the earth because they're
Mm-hmm.
so similar, but they appear at different periods of time in history, are actually reincarnations, like Isis, then Mary, or before even Isis, maybe I don't know if it was Astarte or Ashera, but seeing these incarnations, and same thing with like Diana, with somebody else, I can't remember who, but I've seen people's suggest this. So I thought that was very interesting, as well, on because
Yes.
how you get these images that appear beforehand, and that so I always thought that was fascinating. And I know I'm going a little bit, but there is a question. Couple questions. Janet Lee. Now, is Lilith Norse? No.
No, no, she was originally Babylonian or Sumerian, possibly both. So that is the kernel from whence she came, was from Babylonia, and she was a wind demon. Was her original incarnation, was as a wind demon, and she was often equated with or compared to or married to, not literally married, but like put with like Astarte, and goddesses like that, and eventually she was brought into Jewish beliefs, and she was seen as this very scary force among
Mm.
in Judaism, and she was often seen as someone who she was the goddess who was told that it was her fault that she dresses sexually, that men objectify her. That is like, they blamed her if a man had nocturnal emissions. It was because of her. If women developed, if they got pregnant, like sometimes they, like one of the myths, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
You hear me? Okay. One of the myths is that she would actually turn into a man and impregnate women. And so she was very much like fear-based. So she was seen as a succubus, a temptress. And then a later iteration of her is she was actually Adam's first wife. So can you hear me now? Because this
Yep,
keeps
just
talking to me. Yeah, okay, thank you. Because it actually started talking to me in my ear. So
who did?
Yeah, the
Lilith?
earbuds. Yeah, so like, we're having trouble connecting to the network.
Oh, I think you said Lilith was talking to you. So I mean, messages are like, oh, cool.
Yeah,
channel
she's
her.
saying, yeah, she's telling me I can't connect to the network.
Yeah.
But she was later seen as Adam's first wife in the garden. And then he said, well, I'm superior to you. You need to lie down and I will mount you sexually.
Mhm.
And she was like, no, we are equal and I'm going to mount you. And so it was this conflict, this war. Like she was saying, we are equal. And he says, no, I'm superior. And she would not have that. So she was expelled and then replaced by Eve. So, yes, that's one of the myths.
I like that. And so Irene asked, that's the most extreme punishment I ever heard of. What did she do? So that's basically that right there. She refused to submit to the man, to Adam. And it was interesting, if anyone ever saw the TV show Lucifer, that one of Lilith's daughters, Mazikeen, was part of the Lilium, and it was interesting how they did. It wasn't, like written here, but it was presented in a way where, you know, um, a different perspective, and showing that, even the demons had their feelings and this and that. And, it was very interesting, well written, and it was funny that one of Lilith's daughters in the show, Mazikeen, actually fell in love with and married, spoiler alert, everybody, if you haven't seen the show, but married Eve. Eve got tired of being up in heaven with Adam. It's like, I don't know none of this. I want to get away. And so she fled, and she met Mazikeen, and those two ended up falling in love and getting married.
Interesting.
Yes. So talk about a twist. I love how they did in the show. Let's see. She wasn't submissive enough. Exactly. And Shay says that her mythology is fascinating. And Janet, that is very helpful to me. Thank you much, Kristen. Well, you are welcome. If anybody ever has any questions on Lilith, you know who to go to because you have studied. Now, on your channel name, I've seen you. I noticed that you added MTS. Now that is Masters of Theological Studies, right?
Yes.
So Kristen has done her homework. She's got a master's. So, you've done like the Christian base. You studied the Hebrew. You said you worked with individuals in the and don't get scared, in more of the satanic circles. Now, I'm not saying that in the bad negative, but you studied each kind of different religions to see what they truly was at their core, and not being taken what we're told at face value, and then making a decision based on that. So you've explored, I think, just about almost. Are there any more that you would like to explore besides the Judeo-Christian? Because people don't realize Satanism is part of the Judeo-Christian, because Wiccan and pagans don't believe in, it's a concept.
Like
it's an archetype.
Satan originally wasn't seen as evil, like in Judaism. He's in the Bible. He's in the book of Job. He works with God. He is a servant of God. But the myths around Satan and Lucifer, which ended up being conflated, they're twisted. They were twisted, by Judaism and Christianity. And then, because Lucifer originally actually was a Roman entity, and in the Middle Ages, somehow he became the tempter, in the garden. And but he's the morning star. He's the light bringer. So a lot of people work with Lucifer as a light bringer, someone who brings inspiration and knowledge and self development and things like that. They don't see him as like evil,
Which is why the Christian, doctrines wanted to demonize them, was because we can't have people having knowledge. They can't know
exactly
they have this power, that they are of God, and all that. So of course they're going to, but Irene did want to share something. I read the Satanic Bible when I was a teenager, wouldn't recommend it. And for me personally, I agree, because there are some people that will take something like that to the extreme, and there are those, who do. Well, I will say, I won't, without going into bring that kind of energy into the show, but as in with all, I think every type of spiritual tradition, there's some sort of negative or evil ritualistic things that take place, even in the
Mhm.
name of the Christian God, even in the name
Mhm.
of, so we have to remember too that just, and I met some people that I was surprised later on when I was younger. I found out that they were Satanists. I'm like, oh, I didn't hang back out with them, but when I initially met them, I had no idea,
Mhm.
because it wasn't, you know, as made out to be. But
Yeah.
again, we have to go with what we're comfortable with. But what I have learned from Kristen, what I have learned from Tom, um, and what I have learned some from, Cosmic Orphans channel, talking about the tree of life and how the lower levels, and how, they balance each other, they work with each other, the higher light, the lower dark, that we need to kind of more look at things, from an open mind and not out of fear, and make that decision based on how we feel. And so
Mhm.
again, me feeling uncomfortable about in any type of working with a Lilith, or with a Lucifer, or with a Baphomet, for me, a lot of times that was also an issue for me, that brought a lot of fear. So it's having to just be able to learn to keep an open mind, but know what's right for you.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
and that's what I think allows you to develop a bond or a connection with, your deity, as well. It's like I said, I've seen and heard people do things, awful things in the name of God, of light, that you'll be like, what? Wait,
Yeah. Yeah.
So just really having to be, again, mindful of that. And for me, um, unless were you done before I moved on to?
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to make sure I didn't. There was anything else more that you wanted to share. And but really quick, Irene also said Pan was made out to be the devil, or exactly
Mhm.
same thing with the Baphomet that I'm learning. And of course, there are going to be people again like Baphomet. I know there are people that take that image and go with something that's very negative, very dark, very, that, the harm does. Well, some people will harm, they'll take that image, but then those who will take his image and do, beautiful magic and ritual work with that, just as
Mhm.
people will take the image of, Christ, let's say, on a cross, and do very dark, awful things with it. But then other people will look at that, like Fatima in our community. She is, she still believes in her Catholic faith, but she's so open minded and listens to what we all share, that she feels that, that sense of, I don't say groundedness, but a sense of self, of
Mhm.
her spiritual beliefs. And oh, hello, Carolina. Welcome, my dear. Um, so I think I was done with that one. But here in my one book, Goddesses of the World, Lilith is considered the Mesopotamian goddess of independence and fearlessness, invites you to reclaim your power, embrace your authentic self, and cast away the chains of conformity. Embody the strength to face your shadows and discover the hidden gems within. Lilith urges you to be resolute, for you are worthy of love and respect just as you are. So there
Love
we
that.
go.
I love
Okay.
that. What book is that?
This is from the Goddesses of the World, and
Um,
the artwork is really beautiful. And in this book, they leave mostly the traditional goddesses out. This book covers a lot of different cultures, different areas of the world, of goddesses that I've never heard of. There's only a couple, like basically like Lilith, Bridget is in here. Um, Carradine is in here, but pretty much everybody else is that you normally hear about are left out. They explore a lot of people who, Ishel, Jacques, Lamanya, Laka. So they have Japanese, Hawaiian, Polynesian. I mean, this is real. Oh, and Pele's in here. So I was like, yay, Pele's in here. Now, Pele and I are interesting because I've always had an interest in Pele. And I told Jonathan, if I ever got to Hawaii, I would definitely want to go up and make an offering, to her. And of course, one of my favorite albums of all time, Boys for Pele, Tori Amos.
Very good album. Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
It took me a while to like it, though, to get used
Yeah,
to it because
yes.
it was so discordant.
Different.
But Caught a Light Sneeze, oh,
Yeah, that's an
fabulous.
excellent song. Absolutely.
So for me, it's always been Mary. And even when I started pursuing um, the Wiccan path in my 20s, the pagan path, the native spirituality paths in my youth, I did have a dream about her where I approached one of her statues at a grotto. And I remember looking at the statue and kind of just wishing that, I would see her smile or look at, and she did. And I remember when I saw her face animate, I asked her, are you okay with me exploring this path? And she smiled, kind of like you know, yes. So for me, she's always going to be around. I can always go to her in times of trouble. Mother Mary calls to me, let it be. So when I have troubles and a lot of pain, I'll kind of like run to her. But over the years, Morgan Le Fay, living in Arizona, I was watching an episode, not the mini series at a friend's house of Miss of Avalon. The minute it opened up, and I saw that priestess on that boat going towards and with the spirit, I broke down. I was like choking on my tears. I was like, what is going on here? And I started exploring that. And when I was in Arizona at that time, I realized I had a past life there. So for me, Morgan Le Fay has been, she took a step back because of, some health problems and some dark moments after we left Arizona. They've been waiting for me patiently, let's just say. And I appreciate that. So last year, I started getting an inkling about the Morgan. And then it occurred to me, like 5 years ago, I had actually done a painting and I was told to call it, Maka. And I'm like, I wasn't, working with them or honoring, but they were in my periphery of what I was learning. And I thought, well, that's why it wants to be named. I will let the goddess, name this, and this will be the piece. Then last year, I think because of the protections needed with where we were living, she started coming around. And of course, I got nervous because she's a goddess of death, of gore, of battlefields, but and a lot that for me, that kind of scares Heather, a little bit because I don't want, I didn't want to start falling into something that was dark and not be able to really get myself out of. So kind of again, learning, and it felt like she took a step back, but since I've gotten here, I live in an area now where I'm constantly hearing crows, ravens. I have a couple feathers that were like right in my path. I'm like, okay, so I saved those. I don't have a statue of her. There's one I really want, but I took a card out of this deck here that had the Morgan, because a lot of people don't have the Morgan in their deck. And the Goddess Power Oracle, which I have, does, but it doesn't resonate with how I feel or how I perceive her
Mm-hmm.
energy. And so I just put her card up on my little space for her with the two crow feathers. And I acknowledge that she's here again, reminding me I'm here to protect. You can call on me, sub power, stepping into power. So I think a lot of times our patron deities come and go like our animal totems when we need them
Mm-hmm.
most, you know, in our life. I know some people who have worked with deity, for over 20 years. It's like there's always been somebody, kind of same with Mary, but really working with certain different deities. A lot of times, a lot of them will come and go, but for some people, that's their core, their patron, for them. I
Mm-hmm.
like Freya. You're talking about the cats. It feels like Freya's still coming around because here I sent you some of my kitties. I think that's enough to be able to pull her
Oh,
chariot.
I didn't even think of
You
that.
did, really? Yeah. When you're talking about the
No,
kitty cats, I'm like, well, there's Freya with her kitty cats pulling her. She's like, come
that's
on, Kristen.
yeah,
So,
yeah, that makes sense.
So for me, I did order a book on the Morgan that was recommended by one of her, and it's interesting. There is she's on YouTube. I can't think of the name, but there is a coven of women in Ireland that strictly works. I mean, I guess she's been working. She's been her devotee for like 20 some years. They don't call themselves priestesses. They call themselves priests, which I find.
Mhm.
I was like, she goes, I'm a priest of the Morgan. And I'm like, don't you mean priests? But they go by priests. And so she goes, a lot of people, she goes, will culturally appropriate, sometimes not out of intentionally, but she goes, a lot of people want to see goddesses, bosom and this and that, and, overly sexualized and humanized and everything. So for her, a lot of books that are out there on her, she goes, she doesn't really give the feel, but she did recommend one. So I'm getting that. So we'll see. And
Cool.
of course, Morgan Le Fay's coming around again. So I think just staying open, just reading, and waiting for the signs, you know. So, um, but
I wish I had a connection to the Irish pantheon and the mythology. It confuses the crap out of me, though. It's so
really,
confusing. Yeah, I just find it so confusing that I just can't seem to connect with the deities. I'm half Irish, so at least 50%. So,
I'm
and
only 6%. Wow, you're 50.
50%,
Wow.
yes. At least because I'm almost completely Irish on my mother's side, and then I'm part Irish on my father's side. So yeah.
So
Um,
then we can see hereditary,
yeah,
genealogy again, bringing it into our practice. So
yeah, and like I wish I were called to the Irish deities, but so far not yet. So
who knows, maybe this lifetime, because I know that some people try to group the Celts going even up into modern day Sweden. They're thinking that they started way up in those mountains and then slowly came down and shifted and moved around. So for some people, the Germanic, the Norse, was at some point, I think, in some circles they consider possibly Celtic, but I think they ended up creating, the ones that moved on and stayed ended up developing more into the Norse and the Germanic. And then for me, what gets confusing is because you got Ireland, you've got England, but you also have Wales. So you have the Welsh goddesses, the English goddesses, the Irish. Sometimes they overlap, sometimes. So that's where sometimes I get like, oh my goodness,
mhm.
you know. But I've had interest before too in on Danu, and I've always, had good feelings with, the god Lu, and the Dagda, the good guy, which is connected to the Morgan, thinking that they had, sex over one of the rivers and combine, but again, there's the myth of the guy having to connect with the goddess to be able to provide the fruits for the people to live and to survive off on. So um and I'm just going to jump up chat really here because I think, let's see, Janet says, agree on that too. I do love learning in this community. And we said hello to Carolina. And then Janet also said, that is understandable about being cautious when your environment is active with other stuff. I seem to be more adventurous now that my space is calm. Yes. And Irene says, I'm half Irish on dad's side and Scottish on my mom's side. Oh, wow. Nice. And then, of course, you got the Scottish, the Picts and how they, connect with. So that whole area right there is just like a big smorgasbord of,
Yes.
because one bringing and it's interesting too, because, when groups of people move, and what's the word when they move, oh,
Migrate.
huh,
Migrate.
migrate into different areas, and they'll take, like, let's say, the Greeks will, move into like the Roman area, or the Romans move into Greeks, and their gods became their gods but with different names. So some cultures still say no, that they believe that their deities, even though they're very similar to others, still contain or connect with, something that's a consciousness, a conscious energy, that is solely, um, that energy alone. That they're not, another deity in another pantheon. I hope I'm not confusing everybody where I'm going with this, but like how Diana is known as Artemis, or I can't think of another connection, but going from different, especially with the Celts, I understand that because they'll say, like, is, Rhiannon the same as Morgan? Then you got Epona, or is it Rhiannon? I mean, there's so many different, again, gods and goddesses that, and they overlap. It's, I think, all comes down to what feels, again, what's right for you and how they
Mhm.
speak with you. And Tom, early ritual, maybe I'll conjure and he'll be late ritual today. But he has said, well, they can be archetypes too, within ourselves that we give power to and that we bring forth. So I still
Mhm.
am finding this journey. You know, I haven't really, you know, and for some people too, and I think you might be able to agree, is that if we don't explore our spirituality, we become kind of stagnant. If we don't want to develop or explore or try to think more out of the box, if we just keep believing the same thing, how can we spiritually grow? Even if we end up coming back to the original, it's at least we explored and we questioned, you know, our beliefs. Whereas
Mhm.
with Christian and everything, there's no questioning the Bible, there's no questioning God. Whereas it's okay in other, to no, I need to question, I need to find out what's right for me. And if we don't do that, then we can tend to stagnate.
Mhm.
Did you ever find yourself feeling like you were stagnating?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I often I would say that one of the biggest causes of stagnation, other than depression, is social media.
Mm-hmm.
Is like getting so sucked into social media that I'm
Yeah.
just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling instead of working on things that are more important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a problem, to be honest. So
I think that's why they developed it too, to keep us in our phones. You know, keep those blinders on. Don't see what's going on. Don't see the man behind the curtain. Pay no attention, kind of thing.
yes, yes.
Um, Irene also said I was teased about being a half breed when I was a kid in Scotland. Oh my goodness, my
Oh,
dear. Sorry about that. Irish Catholic and Scottish Protestant. Oh boy, that must have been. That's
so
why I moved beyond. Where is it? There we go. That's why I moved beyond the Christian and satanic. By okay, understood. Like I said, we gotta find what feels right for us.
yeah, yeah. Like the Church of Satan, which Anton LaVey is the one who wrote the Satanic Bible. I ultimately moved beyond that, just because I felt like they defined themselves by their hatred of Christianity. That's what their spirituality is about. And I'm like, I
They're
want a
gonna hate.
spirituality that's independent of another religion, like how your animosity towards another religion.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, moved beyond that. It
And
just
that's something I didn't know about them. And so you just
yeah.
taught me, and I'm sure other people in chat. That's why we love having guests on
Hmm.
because they bring their experience, their knowledge, and bring that into the mix. I love that. So we are at 2:54. Are you still good on time, or would you be open
Yeah.
to maybe doing? Okay, so if and Irene says really quick, I only read it, never practiced it in any way. So alrighty. Well, as always, we open the floor when we're done having our talks, and if anybody would like a sacred feminine, well, it was not harvest. Oops. Well, we're not doing the harvest. Let me take that. I didn't fix that after the last one, but
Oops.
everybody knows if anyone would like a message from the goddess or divine feminine, go ahead and type in me in big capitals. And Kristen has a really cool set of decks.
Yeah, I'll be.
So,
I have the Lilith Oracle that I'll be.
ooh, very
It's
cool. Yeah,
a deck.
I have to sometimes stop watching Carolina's channel and Kristen's because I keep seeing decks that I want. I'm like, no, stop. I can't afford it anymore. I absolutely love them. So we have one. Okay, so Shay is going to be first.
Okay.
So let's see which deck for Shay. Ooh, let's go to the Black Obsidian. I think Lilith is included in this deck too. So Janet is going to want a reading from Lilith. So good thing you brought your Lilith deck.
Yes.
Hey, I conjured him. Tom, I conjured you.
Oh, that's so weird.
I think it was about maybe 1 minute ago or 2 minutes ago. I mentioned your name. And I promised it was all good. That's cool. Now, if I can only, conjure, winning lottery ticket numbers.
Yes, yes.
That would be awesome. Oh, you're too funny. All right. Oh, lady. Oh, we're still talking about Avalon, and I got one of the goddesses from the Avalon pantheon.
Oh,
Interesting.
nice.
So, Shay, were you all set, Kristen, or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. So I'm just going to take this down for a second. So Shay, I pulled from the Obsidian Veil, and you got Nemu or Nemu, and she's basically the Lady of the Lake, or one of the names of the Lady of the Lake, because Vivian is also known as the Lady of the Lake. And the card is from the depths I emerge, bringing gifts of wisdom, guidance, and power. Very interesting. Oh, and okay. So really quick, Nemu, according to the Arthurian legends, the Lady of the Lake resides in enchanting Lake Avalon. It is believed that she is a powerful sorceress or fairy possessing magical abilities and wisdom. The most well-known encounter with the Lady of the Lake occurs when she presents the sword Excalibur to the young Arthur. She serves as a guardian, mentor, and bestower of wisdom and magical artifacts. The lady represents the profound blessings of wisdom and guidance bestowed upon you. That's beautiful. It signifies the presence of divine beings and higher forces that are offering their wisdom. So it's basically saying you are having messages coming to you. You're having blessings. You're having wisdom. I don't know if you are connecting to any of the energies of I think maybe like water goddesses or goddesses that have the because with the sword it's like communication between the self and our emotions, being able to communicate our emotions, and with those emotions with the wisdom and the intuition that comes through. So this is something I believe she is encouraging more. The guidance you receive may come in the form of intuitive nudges, synchronicities, or messages from the spiritual realm. So I'm feeling that this is coming through. I got a good feeling that you are you're sensing them. Now, I asked for a court card for you in this reading, and this goes right with Nemu saying that she is the Lady of the Lake. You've got the Knight of Cups, and some people see the Knight of Cups as connection to the Arthurian legends, as the quest of the Holy Grail, in search of. So the knights are those that go in search of, or have like something that they need to prove or they need to learn. And with the cups, it's more about the emotions, the intuition. So this card, she says, is representing you right now in this reading. You are in search of knowledge, how to connect the emotions with the wisdom. So basically, trying to separate. Okay, what are the emotions and what's the wisdom? Because sometimes there's that where we don't know if we are influencing the information coming in. So for here, it's about um, being slow, being steady, going within your emotions, trusting your intuition, and letting that guide you. And with that sword caliber, you can always call on her to help kind of with that sword, kind of like pierce that crown chakra and be able to discern and get more clarity about where the messages are coming from, the wisdom that you're receiving, and how to speak it. And your top card was the sun. So this is a beautiful expression of success, of joy. That's why I'm feeling like, you are moving towards this discovery. You're working towards this. You have that beautiful sun card, and the underlying card is the Two of Swords. So decisions need to be made. And again, there's another sword. So you have a decision to be made. And with the traditional Two of Swords, she is blindfolded. The swords are crossed. So again, is asking you to listen to tapping your intuition, getting grounded, and listen to what is coming through before you make that choice. So that's what I have for you, my dear, for Shay. And I'll give you over to Kristen.
Okay. I decided to pull another card. So give me one sec.
And Mama Sushi, hello, Amanda. She has joined us. And she says, that's interesting. Yeah. Piercing the veil of your intuition and your emotions, speaking your emotions with clarity.
Okay. So from the Lilith Oracle, I pulled the Apple card, Forbidden Knowledge. So it says, I bite the apple to recognize the depth of my desires and access hidden knowledge. Just to nerd out for a second, nowhere does it say it's an apple. It just says fruit. But it was in later paintings and whatnot, it became an apple. So, but one of the myths is that it was actually Lilith, who was the serpent in the garden, who offered the fruit to Eve in order to liberate her. So I think what this is saying is that really to look past those boundaries that have been placed on you. That there are things that if you've been told that you shouldn't do, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't think, you shouldn't feel by society or your family or your peers. And I think this card is nudging you to say, don't listen to them so much. Challenge yourself to be who you're authentically meant to be by biting that fruit. And, and biting the fruit, in the garden did lead to some suffering. The Yahweh in the garden basically punished them for wanting to eat the fruit of the tree of good and evil, and the tree of knowledge. And this was an act of oppression, you could say. Some people see it differently, but one reading of it is that the serpent, whoever you see the serpent to be, was the liberator of Eve in opening her eyes. And so I pulled another card from the Wild Goddess Oracle, and you got the Sybil card. And it says, think twice before sharing what you know with anyone except those who you know without question are ready to hear it. I think this is just saying to press those boundaries, enter into taboo spaces even, but you don't have to tell everybody that you're doing it because, some people will judge you and judge you harshly for it. And I think this is just a warning. Just, pay attention to who your friends are. You don't have to tell. You're not being inauthentic if you only share certain parts of yourself with those you trust. That's not being inauthentic just because you're not, there, about you and wounds, desires that you don't trust.
You're breaking up, Kristen, and you're freezing up.
Okay. Still frozen?
Mm-hmm. Did you want to go out and come back in again like it worked the last time?
Sure.
Oh boy. Yeah, she's frozen. And we lost her. Alrighty, she will be back. So I'm just going to shuffle for Irene. Yep. She'll be back. Just gotta love our internet connections. Lilith took her away. You're frozen when your heart's not open. So I'm going to pull for Irene. Boy, Irene, I keep getting... Oh, that came back again. Ooh. There she is. Doo-doo. There she is.
Okay. I have the worst internet. I'm sorry.
I can hear you.
I don't know where I got cut off. So
I think we pretty much heard everything until I told you you were breaking up and freezing.
Okay. So I think it's I just
uh-oh. Here we go again. Oh no. Yeah, you're frozen again. Oh dear. Well, if you can't get back in, there's no worries, my dear. I totally understand about internet. We can keep trying. I'm okay with that. She goes, poor thing. Yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with Irene's, and maybe Kristen can. Well, Irene, which is Iron Fire Horse, she's next. So I'm just going to go ahead and give her what I read. Are you going to try to pull cards for Irene? So let me close my door.
Okay, my back.
Yeah, I had wonky connection when I first moved here, and even the internet here right now, I have to sit on top of it for me to. Oh, she's moving.
Yeah. Am I here?
Yes, you're here.
Okay.
Yay.
If I cut out again, then I'll just see the sign that I'm not meant to do readings tonight. So, third card I got was the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands can be seen as a card of competition, but healthy competition. It's about forming your personality, your character through challenges. So I think this is just saying, when you go through specific challenges, use it to your advantage. Not all challenges are there to, make a better person or a stronger person. Some just suck. But sometimes you can use those challenges to your benefit and try to learn something and try to become a more authentic version of yourself, a stronger version of yourself, and a wiser version. And so I think this reading is really a call to authenticity of not being afraid of who you are, even if other people judge you for it, and to if it does conflict on occasion, being yourself is very important, even if it does cause conflict on occasion. So that's the reading that I have. So
Alrighty, and she was able to get it. Yay!
woohoo!
And Tom was saying, well, Lilith is trying to take her away. And I'm like, you know what, Tom? We really didn't have this much internet trouble until a certain somebody popped up in chat. Ooh. I'm just picking. He likes to pick on me, so I'm picking on him. But yes, so we're happy to have you here, my little bro. So Janet says good to. Whoops, I'm looking. No, I'm looking for Shay, because she had said. Let me see. Thank you, ladies. And she says, oh, poor thing. She goes, thank you, ladies. And poor Tom. Yeah, right. So early ritual has
left the chat.
He knows I'm playing with him. So, all righty. So we hope that, resonated with you, Shay. Next up on our list is Irene, who is Iron Fire Horse. And I'm getting the same cards, my dear, having to do with the home front. So I'm going to go ahead and share with what I'm getting. So your goddess that came up today is actually Hesha or Hestia, depending on the pronunciation. And she is all about the home and the hearth. And I know you shared your love of camping, and mostly nature has been your home. And I think you also shared with us your car as well. But Haitian, now there's two, there's an empowerment message and alignment message. And I'm feeling more like, okay, we need to get aligned now. We need to, because you're, the court card that came for you in the reading is the Knight of Wands. And we know the Wands are very fiery, they're very bold, they're very motivated. So we're going to look at the alignment to make sure that everything is going into alignment according to Haitian, what she wanted dictated here during the reading. So under the alignment, it's asking about clutter in your home where you work, talking about how objects and clothing that have negative energy because of things that happen at a time in our lives when it wasn't very good. And so these items will possibly retain that negative energy, and making sure that if there's any clutter that is getting away, and this could be also very well in our thoughts too, clutter of our thoughts. This says the pants that don't fit shame you, or the gift from an ex-partner taunts. So this is talking about, again, yeah, who needs this cacophony of all this negative energy, items, memories, things of a physical, nature, material nature, that needs to kind of be dealt with. And it says here, declutter and make space in your environment. Do that for your mind too. Just like we were going with cluttering of our mind. Your mind might be cluttered with old stories that have no value for you now. Walk away from situations. We've talked about this. You don't belong in. Get rid of all of it. The drama, the situations. Now is the time to, again, declutter our thoughts, declutter our space. Um, and it's amazing how intentions come together like magic. So making the intentions. So I am going to, it says here, make space for miracles of the goddess Hatia has in store for you. It takes work, but it's worth it. And so, and she is the Greek goddess of the hearth. And so, your other cards, again, so with her acknowledging you in the situation is the Knight of Wands. So this is someone who's very passionate, very fiery, and one of the key words is taking bold action. And this is making absolute sense because again, we got the Justice card. We are seeking justice and fairness, and you know things done right by us, by others. And I believe you had something about, I'm trying not to look at the checks. I don't want to be influenced, but the Justice card, I think, if I remember correctly, trying to work on getting that home established, working with, I don't know if it was an inheritance or a deed or something that's connected with the home, and you're waiting for a decision. You're seeking that fairness. You're seeking that balance. Um, Karmic energy, but the underlying energy, the Leo came up again, the Sun card, and that's all about success, a relief of emotions, joy. It's a very positive card moving forward. But just making sure that we're decluttering all those negative thoughts, items, and things in our life right now that doesn't serve you. Um, and just again, the card acknowledges that you're brave, that you're confident, but to make sure that everything, everything, what's the word? What's the phrase that's trying to come to me? Everything that has this place, you will intuitively know. You will energetically know, and what needs to be cut again, like a sword, out of your life. Get rid of it, and that's what I have for you. And she says, I have so much clutter. Oh my goodness. And my mother's that both passed away. Oh my goodness. So yeah, and Allison's a minimalist too. So yeah, I only have mostly camping gear. And let's see, my sister has been a major issue. I needed. Oh yeah. So try to get rid of anything. Yeah. So good luck to you, my dear. Just remember, just that fiery energy, just know how to use it, and when to know when to fold them, when to hold them, and when to walk away. There we go. Good old Kenny Rogers. Okay, I'm looking over to Kristen while she has the good internet.
Okay, I'm going to be a bit repetitive because I got the Demoness Authenticity card. So the authenticity card, which I was just talking about authenticity in the last reading. So it says, I embrace all aspects of myself, turning societal shadows into my source of light. So I think that I'm just going to reiterate what I said in the last reading, is that I think it's just calling you to be your best self and who you are, who you truly are, and not to let other people negatively influence you to hide and be ashamed of who you are, or, afraid of what it might cause, in your life. And, but this message is a little bit different with the second card because you got the Protector card. Instead of having the Five of Wands, you got the Protector, which says, surround yourself with people who lift you, accept you as you are, believe in your vision and purpose, and bring out the best in you. So make sure you create a safe haven for yourself, that you have friends to turn to, that you have a soft place to fall when things get difficult. And I just think this is just saying that be yourself, be authentic with what you want, what you desire, who you are, and to surround yourself when you become vulnerable with people who can accept you and love you the way you are, and can support you when things get difficult. The third card you got is the Devil. In order to be our authentic to not be bogged down and chained to our fixations, to negative thought patterns or behaviors that are just really getting in the way of us being our best selves. Our authentic self isn't, throw everything to the wind and just do whatever the hell we feel like it. That's not authenticity. The authenticity is being our best. And so this is just saying a word of caution that if there's anything that you're struggling with as far as things that are distracting you or that are bogging you down, chaining you down, weighing you down, to try to liberate yourself from those, to work on those things, because those things are keeping you from being your best self. So that's the reading I have.
Yeah, Irene was sharing a lot, but the last one is my sister has been bent on lying and shaming me. I just withdrew from all of it. And so when he pulled the double card, she goes, why am I not surprised? And I didn't know that your daughter has high-end autism. So I know that's got to be difficult, especially when she's trying to, she says, be a minimalist because of, the things trying to get rid of and how they're connected with it. But she also mentioned again, her sister has been a major issue. I need to take her to court or walk away. So like then there's the justice card. But yeah, I'm sorry that you got to go through that. And she goes, I am working on it, Kristen. Thank you. So wonderful. Yeah, that was a good reading. And Kristen, that one deck you're using, oh my God, I got stuff. I keep wanting to get these decks that you have. It's the one that has got like the old artwork on it, but they have like the collage with it.
Oh yeah, this is the Wild Goddess Oracle.
That's the wild
Goddess.
wild.
Yeah, it's a
I gotta
Zerner.
watch a flip through of that.
Yeah, it's one of the Zerner Farber decks. So
Zerner Farber.
Yeah, they've done a number of decks.
It's like Heather doesn't need any more decks. Alrighty, so our last read is Janet, and she is the one that wants that message from Lilith. So, alrighty, and also really quick, Irene shared with us, my mother, my other daughter, and me used to share her care. It's hard dealing with her on my own. Yeah. I don't know if there's some way that you can find professional help to help you, like programs of people who are trained and can help, individuals with high autism, where they, like go in there for a day for them to do and interact with others or to do crafts or to do something. I mean, I don't have any knowledge or training or anything in, autism. But I don't know if that's something that, maybe you can find some assistance to kind of help lighten that burden of yours. All righty. So Janet, you want Lilith. So I'm going to find which Lilith do I want? Which deck? Yeah, Kristen's got a lot of the cool decks. Oh, and speaking of decks, Kristen's links are down below for some of those who are new to Kristen. She has created her own deck called the Star Rune Oracle. It's available through Make Playing Cards, and there is also a guidebook available through WordPress to go along with it. Those links are in the description below. And Jax has joined us. That's Mangled Unicorn. Can be part of the Medicare, Medicaid, depending on the plan. Yeah. So good to see you, Jax. Her name is Jacqueline, but we're told we can call her Jax. So, okay, I gotta find a Lilith here. Let's see. Is she in this one? Yes, she is. Number 58. Let's find. I'm curious to see how she. Oh, I think I remember what she looks like in here, in this deck. Or do I? I thank you, everybody, for hanging out and spending your evening, afternoon with us. Okay, so where is Lilith? Well, don't tell me she's in the middle of the deck. Ooh, there we go. I'm not used to seeing Lilith being portrayed with red hair, but she appears to us in all different ways. Okay, a message from Lilith. Okay. So I think Kristen is still reading through a card. So Janet. Or were you all set to go, Kristen? Are you still?
You can go. You can
Oh,
go.
okay. So Janet from the Goddess Power Oracle. This is Lilith here. Portrayed with some fiery red hair, and I love independence. Um, so I'm already being drawn to empowerment because I'm seeing some of your tarot cards and we feel more of need of an empowerment message. So it says here, of course, the Jewish goddess Lilith refused to be dominated by the first man. We understand that. So Lilith offers this lesson. No one can prevent you from fully blooming, from learning all you can, from evolving and choosing freedom. Only your conditioned thinking can do that. Be proud, be accountable, claim your power, and hold it wisely. Um, right now, you are in an excellent position to attract healthy, interdependent, collaborative relationships that truly serve the highest good. So, friendships flourish with mutual respect and support. Love relationships bloom with ample space for parties to grow. And business ventures thrive in service of the greater good. The goddess Lilith wants to show you the way to claim a healthy self worth and self respect by refusing to let your old stories keep you down. You will be amazed at how deep, meaningful, and respectful your experiences become in all areas of your life when you make choices from a place of empowered independence. So, with that being said, again, the Justice card came up. So, I'm looking at it, but I'm looking at the other cards, and this could be very well to do something maybe has to do with courts, or it may be a feeling of in treatment that has been unfair. Um, but what I'm looking at here with this independence is walking away. So I'm getting calm because you got almost all swords except for Seven of Wands. I wanted to clarify for the Justice card. So for me, this is feeling more like I don't know if it's like a karma or something where you are taking your power back. You are standing in your truth because the Justice card is also about truth, freedom of speech, of how we feel, of what we share. And right now, that is being clarified with the Seven of Wands. So it feels like this is you, and you may feel like some wands are coming after you, some passionate, aggressive individuals, energy, thoughts, comments coming right at you. But with this Justice card and with Lilith, it's time that you move beyond that. You are taking, and I think what's causing some of that is you becoming independent, becoming knowing where you depend on yourself. You don't need the approval or support of others. What is also coming here is your underlying energy is the of Swords. So there's some strife that's been going on, but this is rest from strife. So moving away from that, stepping again into that independent power. And I also got, and it's becoming heavy at the bottom, is also the Ten of Swords. So all this coming from individuals energetically, and I'm also getting, environmental. I mean, we are getting hit, they said, with a lot of things from the sun right now that's affecting our moods, our mental health, our physical well-being. But for me, this is feeling much more like you standing up for justice for yourself and what you say and what you feel. You're finally saying, all right, that's it, time out, I'm taking a break from this, no more. And when you do that, you can let go of those Ten of Swords, get those swords out of the bag, get those swords out of the thoughts, out of your mind. And it's about the end of a cycle. Step into your independence and let that shit go. Sorry about the curse words, Janet, but that's how it wanted to come out. So that's what I have for you. And hi, Selena. All right. So I hope that helped, Janet. And give you over to Kristen.
Okay, so you got the Crow card from Lilith. And it is the card of Seer of Truth. I welcome the messenger of revelations and am unafraid to confront the truths I uncover. And the book goes into a bit of shadow work to do in regards to this card. So it's encouraging you to dig a bit deep. So it's saying, reflect on moments when you avoided confronting fears or difficult truths. Do you avoid facing your fears? What truths don't you want to find out about yourself? Lilith invites you to face your shadows with courage, allowing the revelations to guide you to self-discovery and heal any shame or fear. Don't be afraid to seek truths and find the strength to confront your shadow. So I think this is just, it's calling you to not be afraid of those darker aspects of your reality, of those things that you're suppressing about yourself. And those aren't necessarily negative qualities. They could be like Carl Jung came up with the concept of the shadow, but there's also the golden shadow. And the golden shadow are positive qualities that we're suppressing because someone shamed us about them. So there could be qualities about you that you were shamed about, like maybe you were told that you were bossy, aka a good leader. You were drawing outside the lines, and so, but you're aka very creative. Anything like that. So I think this is just saying, don't be afraid to look deeper into yourself and to face those fears, face any fears that you're having. The second card you got is the Mermaid. And it says, look below the surface of your emotional reactions to know what is really going on. For things are not always what they may seem. So I think this is about taking a step back. When you have a strong emotional reaction to something, get curious about it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't wallow. Don't be reactionary. Get curious. Be curious about what is going on there. Why am I having this reaction? Why am I jealous or envious or angry or afraid or ashamed? And just do that work, maybe some journaling. And some meditation would be good. Your third card is, you got Hecate, the Hecate card. Ooh. And really, this is a card of hope. It's a card of discovery, of finding your way. And so I think this is just an encouragement. I just built an altar for shadow work, and I'm journaling shadows. Wonderful. That's awesome. So yeah, I think this is just encouragement, saying that you're on the right path and that there's hope there, that anything that you're dealing with, any hangups or burdens or, things that you're afraid to deal with and are now confronting, that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that you're on the right path. So that's the reading that I have.
Well, she's very happy with that reading. She goes, I get Lilith and Hecate. And it's interesting that Hecate pops up because our Selena essence of the moon, that's one of her main deities that she works with. And so it's just interesting to me. That's the synchronicity. And Hecate's been showing up a lot too in a lot of our shows, in our readings. Nancy's been drawn to her. I've gotten a book that's got a whole section. I mean, it's very interesting that Hecate, because she is, the goddess of the crossroads. And, a lot of us are at crossroads in our lives right now. I know I can admit that. And Selena's like, she's my girl. Hecate. So thank you for bringing Hecate along with you, Selena. So
Yeah.
we're at 3:35. We've been on for an hour and a half, and that was our last reading. And so thank you, Christina. I'm not Christina. Whoa, man, who's Christina? Uh-oh. I have a friend named Christina. I got to reach out to her. Okay, that was bizarre. Okay, Kristen. I know it's Christina, but I said fully. So thank you, Kristen Louise, for joining me today. And for people that came in a little bit later, Nancy couldn't make it today. She sends her love, and she will be back next week. But thank you for hanging out with us and letting us read for you. And thank you, Kristen, for sharing that amazing poem with us, and your readings, and sharing your spiritual journey with us. And Selena also said that she's tattooed on my arm, and now Santa Muerte is also tattooed on me. So yeah,
Oh,
she's got some major shadow. Yeah, she's walking the path. And Irene said, this was great, Heather and Kristen. Thank you. Take care, everybody. And Tom's like, hey, Selena's still waiting. I don't know what that's all about, but okay. So, Kristen, you got anything coming up on your channel that you want to share before we go?
I do not. Nothing's scheduled. So yeah,
Because of all the little kittens. And I
it's
love
all
that
kittens.
Jonathan Van Ness, this is going back several years now, but when I first learned about him, I was following him a little bit on Instagram, and he loved calling little kittens, he called them bittens. He goes, oh, look at the little bittens. And so whenever I see little kittens, I want to come, oh, the little bittens. So yep, she's got little babies that need to be. And Selena says, I love your kin pics. I do too. I really do.
In a couple weeks, Scott from Scorpio Sun Tarot is actually going to come visit me. So he's going to spend a long weekend with me. So there's that coming up.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And me too. They haven't sent me. Oh, so the card's in the mail. Okay, there we go. Gotcha. And so Great Pyrenees. Wow. Yeah, that's a big dog. They're beautiful. So let's see, today's Monday. I should be back Wednesday with Jackie's Crystal Moon, and we'll be starting the court cards for the cups, and we'll see if Allison comes back Friday. I think her and I are going to start doing bi-weekly so that she can spend one Friday learning more deeply about the tarot on Cosmic Orphans channel, and then popping over to hang out with me on the other Friday for some of our chit chat. So thank you everybody again for joining us,
Thank
and
you.
we will see you next time. And again, make sure Kristen Louise's links are all below, especially for her cards, make playing cards, and her book, and all that other good stuff. So thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.